As horror fans, we know the popular horror movies. We know The Exorcist, The Halloweens, The Shinings, The Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and so many more. But every once in a while, we want to discover a hidden gem, something under the mainstream, and there are tons of movies to choose from. Where do you even start? You may have heard this fly stud talk about how 1981 is the greatest year in horror movie history. And if you decide to start your search there, don't go in blindly. Yes, there are some amazing horror movies from 1981, but there's also some major stinkers. Here's a list to avoid. These are the top 10 worst horror movies from 1981. Welcome to the HellBound Horror Show. Who am I to judge? Well, I recently reviewed all the horror movies from 1981 on this channel. Almost. So I know the best, and in this case, the worst, the year has to offer. So if you want a deeper dive into any of these movies, check out my standalone reviews. And one more thing, this list isn't in any particular order. These are just 10 movies that aren't worth your time. Let's start off talking about Scream. Scream is a classic franchise that is still going strong today. The film brought life back into the slasher genre and was made by horror expert Wes Craven, who also made A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Please, God.
This is God.
Now I hear what you're saying. Hey dummy, didn't Scream come out in 1996? Isn't this a worst of 1981 list? Well, yeah, you're correct. So why mention Scream? Well, because there was a Scream slasher film that came out in 1981, and it has nothing to do with the Wes Craven masterpiece. Instead, the 81 version of Scream has adults staying at an abandoned ghost town where they are picked off one by one by the ghost of a pirate. Now it sounds super rad, but unfortunately the film is underlit and you can barely see what's happening on screen. The acting is amateurish and the story can be hard to follow. If you're not paying attention during a brief dialogue scene, you will have no idea what's happening. The film had potential and it does have its fans, but unfortunately there are so many better films worthy of your time. I don't say this often, but Scream needs a remake. The 81 version, that is. Don't you dare touch the perfection of the 96 version. Oh, baby. Zombies were huge a few years ago. Shows like The Walking Dead and movies like Zombieland helped bring the undead to the mainstream. But zombies have played huge roles in the horror genre well before it was popular. Films like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Lucio Fulci's Zombie were huge hits and helped make zombies a staple in the 1970s. So 1981 came around and screwed it all up. The makers of Burial Ground made the worst zombie movie ever. Look at these zombies. They suck. The story is just way too simple. People visit this villa, get some sexy time in, and then are attacked by zombies and just stay in the house the whole time. It's bare bones. If you want to laugh at this movie, then it could be considered entertaining. You have this incestuous relationship with a mother and her kid, and that kid, by the way, is played by a 25-year-old man. You have zombie monks, a nipple biting, and this guy has the bright idea to let zombies into the house because who freaking cares?
What can we do about it?
Let them come in. Maybe it's something in the house they want, not us. I've got an idea.
What?
We'll let them inside. We can keep out of their reach.
If you're in the so bad it's good crowd, you could find enjoyment out of this flick. But if you're part of the I want to watch a good movie crowd, then stay the heck away from Burial Ground. Movies like The Omen made the public afraid that they could be living next to the devil himself. Satan could be reincarnated into any boy or girl that they see. Any child could be the devil. That's scary stuff. That is, unless you saw Fear No Evil. This is the reincarnation of Satan, and he isn't very intimidating. He gets bullied in high school, so he uses his evil power to murder someone by a killer dodgeball. Terrifying. Trust me, if this is evil, I'm definitely not fearing it. Fear No Evil is made well enough. Scenes are lit well, and there are some moments where the film exceeds, but even the bonkers nature of this movie can't save it from a poor script and overwhelmingly meh feeling I get when I watch it. Okay, we talked about Scream earlier, now it's time to talk about Screamers. This film is a mess. Legendary cheapskate filmmaker Roger Corman bought the rights to an Italian film titled Island of the Fishmen from 1979. He cut out all the boring parts and added gore and nudity, and he titled his cut of the film Something Waits in the Dark in 1980. No one went to see it. It was a major flop, so being the cheapskate that he is, instead of cutting his losses, he recut the film again and added even more violence to it and had a new advertising strategy. Instead of trying to get people to see his crappy fish person movie, he instead created a trailer that completely lied to moviegoers.
Screamers are coming. They're men turned inside out.
Men turned inside out? That's not in the final movie, and none of these shots or actors are even in the final film. Lying and releasing a film twice? Blasphemy, and that's why you're on this list. Horror parodies can be a lot of fun. Scary Movie made the genre super successful, but horror parodies were around long before Scary Movie was ever made. In 1981, there were 3 horror parodies released. We had Student Bodies, which poked fun at slasher films.
All these stairs.
Saturday the 14th, which aimed its jokes at the classic movie monsters, and Full Moon High, which parodied werewolf films. None of these films were particularly good, but Full Moon High is by far the worst. Saturday the 14th and Student Bodies both have some things going for them.
The producers of this motion picture have asked me to take this opportunity to say, "Fuck you."
Full Moon High, though, was a major disappointment on all levels. It was directed by the legendary director Larry Cohen, who made The Stuff.
Enough is never enough. Enough is never enough of the stuff.
So there was some talent behind the project, but the script, acting, jokes, and visuals all fall flat. Just look at this werewolf. It's pathetic. Remember, An American Werewolf in London came out the same year. Even the most well-made or well-thought-out films can be bad films if they are boring, and oh boy is The Nesting a boring movie. There are times when The Nesting shows promises. Having a guy getting pulled into a lake by ghostly hands, that's awesome. But having a girl getting chased by a poorly acted madman for an absurdly long time, that's a lot less cool. The story starts promisingly enough by having a female author spending her time in a creepy old haunted house by herself as she writes her next novel. The groundwork is there, but the film is shot very safe and is visually boring. The ending is a mess and it makes no sense. The Nesting tried, but it just didn't stick the landing. Do you like animal violence? Do you like when movies harm real-life animals? Do you like when movies cut off the limbs of a live turtle? If you enjoy that stuff, go get help. And for everyone else who answered no, I'm with you. Harming animals for the sake of entertainment isn't fun. Cannibal Ferox, just like its big brother, Cannibal Holocaust, wasn't afraid of being exploitative for the sake of being exploitative. Being edgy doesn't make a film good. Outside of the animal cruelty, there isn't much to say about Cannibal Ferox. It's a half-baked story and the cinematography is only just okay. I hate this movie so much that I spent most of my standalone review doing everything in my power not to review this movie. Stay away from Cannibal Ferox. Yeah, but I don't want to watch this movie. I am a sucker for a good giallo film. Giallo, you know, those Italian horror movies that are very similar to slasher films, but dive more into the mystery. Black leather gloves from the point of view of the killer, sensual babes, style, murders, and a big reveal at the end. Gialli are a lot of fun, But Murder Obsession fails at some of the most basic elements of the genre. The mystery isn't all that deep, the kills are laughable, tension is forced, the music is awful, and the film is just too boring. Stay away from Murder Obsession, or Murder Syndrome, or Fear, or The Wailing. You can call this movie whatever you want, it's still crap to me. Do you want an alien ripoff with little to no aliens in it? Well, Inseminoid may be your film. We have a lady who is impregnated by aliens, becomes possessed by the foreign invaders, and goes around killing her crewmates. It's a silly plot and the execution is bare bones. It's cheap and the acting is over the top. I'll give the film this though. It's shot and lit well enough. The film looks great. It also has this scream in it. Which apparently is in Five Nights at Freddy's. If that's true, then I hate this movie even more. Before we get into the worst horror movie from 1981, let's talk about some of the honorable mentions. Or, in this case, dishonorable mentions. Don't Go in the Woods is a terrible movie with awful acting, terrible dialogue, laughable effects, and insanely dumb moments. But I found the film to be extremely entertaining for all the wrong reasons. There are so many kills in this movie that it makes the average Jason and Freddy movie look like a Disney film. Don't Go in the Woods is so bad, it's good. Strange Behavior, also known as Dead Kids, just isn't anything special. There isn't a lot of blood or gore, nor does it have any real horrific elements to it. It does have a terribly delightful depiction of a high school party, though. The film is very bland, but at the very least, it has a fun twist ending. It's mostly harmless, but it just doesn't stick out. Blood Beach is basically Tremors before Tremors, with a lot more police work involved. The cast is great and the concept is top notch. Some sort of monster lives beneath the surface of the sand and it eats anyone who walks on the beach. Pretty awesome stuff, but people could be upset to find that the monster is only in the movie for about 20 seconds. There's no real big payoff and the climax barely has any weight to it. I like it, but I could see people finding it boring. The worst horror movie from 1981 has to be Home Sweet Home. This guy tried to be the next Michael Myers. Any guesses to how that went? Well, it didn't really work out, that's for sure. The dude from Body by Jake plays the muscle-bound, mindless killer who escapes from a mental hospital. He kills everyone in poorly edited and poorly shot scenes. The acting is absurdly bad, and the filmmakers didn't know how to light a film. The second half of this movie is all shot in the dark, and you can't make out anything. Characters have no depth, and outside of a few kills, they are all lackluster. Stay away from this one. In fact, stay away from all of these movies. Life is way too short to be watching crappy horror films. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. Watch something good. No, watch a great horror movie. Maybe something like Sleepaway Camp 2 or something. And that's all I have for tonight. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and take care, everyone. So, I actually like all the horror movies that I discussed today. Sometimes in a video, you just kind of have to ham it up, kind of double down on a statement, right? And yeah, these films aren't objectively masterpieces or anything, but cheers to having your own opinion.